Hello and welcome again to one of the video lessons about JavaScript and Canvas programming.
In this video we are going to study an HTML page named PlayingCardsCanvas.html. And in this example we will see how we can build or construct an application with several classes, and we will see how we can manage many image files, and among other things we will see how we can shuffle on a JavaScript array. My name is Kari Laitinen, and you can find this page when you first go to naturalprogramming.com and then you select this web icon and you enter this page. And there you have to select this canvas-based pages, and there then you get this list, and there you can see or find the PlayingCardsCanvas.html. So this page needs a number of images, and these images are then located in a separate folder named Playing Cards Images. And if you want to download this page to yourself and work locally with it, in addition to the HTML file, you have to then download these images. And one way to do it is to download this playing cards images.zip file and then unzip that locally. Or the other possibility is that you would download all these images, but because there are so many of them it takes a little bit time. But the most important thing is that you then have this application organized so that the folder name is this. I have already downloaded this application or page, and I have also downloaded and unzipped the image files. So the page looks like this when you open it. So there is the canvas area, which is the little bit lighter green area, and there are two buttons there. There's a deal button and shuffle button, and then there is this text: click the cards after dealing. So if I deal first the cards, then I will see one row of cards and then this kind of lonesome card here, and if I click the cards I can turn them and I can hide them as well. And you can see that these cards seem to be in some kind of order here. So what can I do here is that when I press this shuffle button and then again press this deal button like this, then the cards come in random order. So the shuffle button shuffles the card deck from which these cards are taken. So we have in this application, or in this page, there are two classes in use. There is a card class and there is a card deck class. So these classes work quite much in the same way as real playing cards do. So I can show it. I have here a real deck of playing cards, and it has 52 cards there, and I can take one card, I can position the card somewhere, and I can turn the card, and I can return the card, and I can move it like this. But the class, there is this card deck class in this program, and it works quite in the same way as the as a real card deck, so that you can always, when you take one card away from the deck, it doesn't anymore exist in the deck. And then you also need to position the cards somewhere on the screen. So, but let's then take a look at the source code of this application, and the source code is here in the editor, and again there are some comments at the beginning of the file, and then there is the JavaScript part, and in this JavaScript part of the page source code, where there are some classes like class point, then there is class card, and then there is a function, separate function called shuffle, and then there is this other class called card deck. And then after the card deck class there is the so-called main, or we can say that it is the main program. And we can do so that we first take a look at this this main program. So we have some public variables here. There is the card deck, and here we create the card deck object, which means that after this statement has been executed, there is a deck of cards from which we can then take cards. Then there is this row of cards which represents this row here. So we have this row here. So we have this row of cards. So this variable refers to that row, and then there we have this lonesome card, and then that variable refers to this card. And well, then there is this selected card, but we are actually not using that for any real purposes. So then I have this function button to deal cards clicked, and button to shuffle deck clicked. So if we could first take a look at the HTML part. Or actually we can also take a short look at the style part, so that there is this centered style inside which the canvas is located, and then there is this, we have a styling for the button, and also the body has a certain background color. And then the actual HTML is very short. When this page is loaded, it calls this draw on canvas function, and then we have this centered div, and inside that we have this canvas element. And now in this canvas element we react this on mouse up event. So when the mouse button is released, then this method or function is called. And then we have these two buttons, and for both buttons we have a separate function, button to deal cards clicked and button to shuffle deck clicked. So they are the two buttons here. Oh, quite good hand there. So let's go back to the JavaScript part then. So there is this button to deal cards clicked. So it means basically that then we will deal new cards to this row of cards, and also we will put here a new lonesome card. And first thing we do is that we empty the array that contains the row of cards, and then we have a for loop here that gets values from 0 to 4. So with this loop we put 5 cards into the row, and it is done so that we use this card deck, and there is a method named getCard, and with that method we get 1 card from the deck. Now this new card refers to this card object, and we have to set the position for the new card. So there in the card class there is a method for setting the position, and we specify the position with this statement. So we create a new point object for the position, and so we use these calculations. There is a 40 and there is a 20 and there is the 50. So in practice this means, or I have made a drawing here, in practice this means that there is this well, we could call it left margin, that is 40 points, and for each card we need the card width, length of space, and then we need a gap between cards, that is the 20. And in the y direction the cards are located at 50. So, and when we use this card index here as a multiplier here, we can ensure that all the cards in the row, they are always placed a certain number of points to the right. So with so we set the position for the new cards, and then we push this new card to the array with this method push. And also for the lonesome card we get a new card from the deck, and we set the position, which is a fixed position. So this position here, it is 188 in direction X and 300 in direction Y. And then we call this draw on canvas method, which draws everything to the screen. So then there is this button to shuffle deck, clicked. So that's very simple. In the card deck class there is a method named shuffle, and with that method we just can shuffle the deck. And again we update the canvas. And then there is this method on mouse up, and with that, in this method we have to check if some of the cards was clicked. So it's important to know that nothing happens if I click outside the cards, but then if I click some card, then that card will be turned. So, and first we have to find out which point was clicked, and then we get this information from this event object that is given as a parameter for this function, and then the clicked position is stored into these variables, and we convert this then to a point object. And then we check that if the row of cards dot length, if it is 5, it means that there are cards now in this row, it's not yet empty. And then we just check all the cards if some of them was clicked, And again we use this for loop here, and we check all the cards. And now it's very important again to remember the object-oriented thinking here. That these card objects, they are such that they know their location or their position on the screen, and they know their suit and their rank, and so then it is possible to ask the cards if their area was clicked. So with this statement we refer to one card in the row, and then we use this contains point method, for which we give this clicked point as a parameter. And this method returns true or false depending if the clicked point was in the card area. And if that is true, then we call a method named turn card, which turns the card. And we also make this selected card point to the turned card, although we don't actually do anything with this information. And then we also check this lonesome card, and if that was clicked, if it is something else than null, and if it contains the point, then we turn that card. And again we have to call this draw on canvas to update the canvas. And then there is this draw on canvas. So you remember that when I reload the page, it shows only this text, click the cards after dealing. And so in that case, this statement is executed when there are no cards yet dealt. So if this row of cards, if its length is greater than 0, it means that there are cards in the row, and then we can draw the cards. And then we use here this card index gets now all the values, all the legal values for this array, and we simply draw the cards. Actually, there is a, I think that is a mistake. There should be a variable declaration here, or I could use this other keyword let here. Let's save it and let's reload it. And again, also we test that if this lonesome card is something else than null, then we draw it. But if there are no cards dealt yet, then we just stroke this text to the screen. But again, in object-oriented programming, we think so that when these cards, when they know them where they are located and what is their rank and what is their suit, then they can draw themselves. And we just provide this context as a parameter for the drawing method. Let's then take a look at how these classes work. So in this JavaScript part, I have first here some constant definitions. So all the suits. So there is constant for hearts and constant for diamonds and constant for spades and constant for clubs. So they are just numerical values. And then I have constants for the card width and card height. And then also as a public variable I have here the card back image, so that there it is. The card objects will be such that they each have this front image, special front image, but their back image is the same for all cards. So here I create a new image object, and then I specify that now the card back image is now this file called back.png, which is located in this folder. And then I have this point object or point class definition, and the point class can store the x and y coordinates of a point in a graphical coordinate system. And then there is this class card, and when I create this object, I give it rank and suit, and then I create these data fields or attributes, card rank, card suit, and I initialize these with the given values. And then I create the card image. Again, I create the image object here, and I specify here that this card is face up. It is false at the beginning, so that the suit and rank are not visible. And also I mark this card position, and I mark it as null at the beginning. But then I have to make references to the image files. So there is a certain system here, or we could actually take a look at here. I have the image files here, and they are named in a certain way, so that there is clubs1.png, clubs2.png, clubs3.png, and then I have diamonds1.png and diamonds2 and png and diamonds3 and png. So they are named in a certain way, and when I know this, or when the program knows this or supposes this, it is quite easy to refer to these files. So that I just here's a test here that, for instance, that if the suit is hearts, then the name of the file must be hearts plus the card rank plus .png. So the rank is also a number that follows the suit. And this way I attach some image file to each card. So I have to test separately for hearts and diamonds and spades and clubs. So this is the card constructor, and then there are quite many methods. All these methods are not used in this application, so that there is the methods get rank, get suit to read the rank and suit, and you can read the card position. And when you turn a card, it means that you just modify the value of this variable. So if it is true, if the value of this variable is true, then we make it false, but otherwise we make it true. Well, there are methods to turn it either face up or face down. And the trick here is that now this drawing method that draws this card object, then this checks what is the value of this variable, and then it makes the drawing according to how the card is turned. Well, there are all these methods so you can test if the card is face up or if it is face down. And that was used, this set card position, so we just, it gets a point object as a parameter, and we just store the point object into this data field. I think this is not used in our application. And then there are these methods that with which you can make some tests with this card, so that you can test that, for instance, that if this card belongs to the suit of another card, or you can test that if some card is smaller than another card. But you can study these methods if you use this to make some card game. And this again is quite straightforward thing when we remember that the card knows what is its position on the screen, and if the position is something else than null, we can just test that if the given point is in the area of the card. And it is just this somewhat complicated expression that makes the testing. And here is the drawing of the card, and this is quite easy as we always draw just the image, because the card object knows its image, so it's easy to draw it. And first we must ensure that the position of the card has been set. So it must be something else than null. And if the card is face up, we just use the draw image method to draw the card image. But if it is not face up, then we draw the card back image. So you can also note that this now, because we write here this, the card image is now a data field of the card object, but this card back image is just a public variable. And then this also strokes text if you attempt to draw a card without a position. Well, then we have this, so this is the end of class card, and then there is this method that it can shuffle an array. I just copied it from internet, from somewhere, and it seems to work. So I will not study it more carefully here. But let's study then this other class named card deck, and it has a constructor, and it has an array of suits here, which is hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs. And with this, and then it has this internal data field cards in this deck, and that's an array, and it is empty at the beginning. And then we just, because there are four different suits, and there are 13 different ranks for a card, then we just go through all these possibilities, and we use this add card method to add a new card to the deck. So we create a new card object here, we give it the rank, and we also give it the suit value. And with this method, so it is actually called here, this add card method, we add a card to the deck, and this just tests that if the length is less than 52, it's possible to add more cards to the deck, and then we use this push method to add the new card object to the array. And then there is the shuffle method, and that's also quite simple, so that we call the general purpose shuffle function and give this array as a parameter. And this getCard method, it actually returns a null if the all cards have been used in this program. So first we specify a variable card to return and set it to null, and if there are still cards left in the deck, we use the pop method to take this card object away from the array. And then we just return the card object. So actually this pop method always takes the last card from the last object from an array. So actually this, you can think that this getCard always gets the last card from the deck. But it doesn't really harm anything if it works so. So these are the objects of this application. So I think I have now explained enough about this program. So we studied how to use several classes to build an application, and we also studied a little bit how to manage many images, and then we had this general purpose shuffle function to shuffle an array. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.